It is hard to complain about the weather on this Sunday. Sunshine and warm temperatures dominated most of the forecast today. But in typical Colorado fashion, it's going to change and change fast. Another wave of strong thunderstorms could return to start the work week before the summer heat ramps up. The latest drought monitor shows us some good news in some areas, not so good in others. You're looking at data from May 19th, so about a week and a half ago. Now that scrub is moving across the screen to show you how it changed on Thursday. Thursday is the day they update the drought monitor. Several counties on the eastern plains like Elbert saw some improvement, also Moffat County. But the drought got worse in the south and northeastern part of our state. Since then, we have had some recent rainfall, so we will wait to see what the next batch of drought data shows us. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles. Temperatures will be slowly climbing every day before potentially hitting our first 90-degree day of the year. Corey Reppenhagen tells me if he's a betting man, he's betting we hit it.
Yeah, we've got a pretty strong ridge of high pressure likely going to develop after this first round of storms in the middle of the week. So if we don't hit 90 at the end of this week, the heat wave is going to continue on into next week, and we will hit at least 190 in that batch. So if you've been holding out, hoping that summer maybe won't get here, it's getting here. It'll be here in about 1 week. So right now here across the state of Colorado, satellite and radar picture pretty dry right now. We do have one batch of storms out here in eastern Kansas. There's actually a tornado warning out here near Emporia, but otherwise the weather is going to be quiet until tomorrow. And we will be having one of those days where we need to pay attention to the skies because those storms will have the potential to create large hail right here in the Denver metro area before they move out onto the eastern plains. I'll detail that coming up. Also, we're looking at the temperatures here. Still pretty mild in the city of Denver, 74 degrees, 66 out at Denver International Airport. Here's that storm threat for tomorrow. You see the yellowed area there. That is the level 2 threat. Large hail, supercell thunderstorms. Even a few tornadoes will be likely across this area tomorrow afternoon and early evening. The Front Range is included in the hail threat and even the landspout tornado threat for tomorrow. So we'll really have to watch those storms. The good news is they'll be very isolated, so there won't be too many of the storms to pay attention to. Rain chances continue into the first part of the next week. I'll detail all that stuff coming up in the full forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Corey, thank you. Tina Peters is expected to walk free from a Colorado prison tomorrow. She's the former Mesa County election clerk who was convicted for her role in a breach of election systems to search for voter fraud. Her 9-year sentence was cut short by a commutation from Democratic Colorado Governor Jared Polis. She'd served about a year and a half. The move came after months of political attacks from President Trump, who demanded Peters' release. Peters is set to be released on parole sometime tomorrow. Also tomorrow is 1 year since a group of people were hurt in an anti-Semitic firebombing attack in Boulder. A group of demonstrators who were calling attention to Israeli hostages held in Gaza were attacked on Pearl Street. One person died from their injuries. More than a dozen others were hurt. The attacker was sentenced to life in prison earlier this month, and he still faces federal hate crime charges. A Denver church had to pay thousands of dollars in repairs after somebody started a fire outside their building last year. The pastor says they are still rebuilding and paying for repairs, but they wanted to thank the people who have helped them through it. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch joins us now on how the church is expressing some gratitude this weekend.
January 2025, we first introduced you to Good News Denver Church. At the time, a fire severely damaged part of the building. Today, they're continuing to make necessary repairs, but wanted to celebrate how far they've come with the people who helped them get here. On days like this, celebrating comes easy.
We set up almost 40 booths to explain and show our culture to them. Yeah, everyone, they are really enjoying it. So we are very grateful and thankful.
Dale Jung is the pastor at Good News Denver Church. His congregation hosted Taste of Korea in their parking lot.
Hello, welcome.
For people who supported them when smiling was harder.
You know, the last year, January 26th, someone set the fire on our church building.
At the time, Denver fire investigators believe someone experiencing homelessness may have started the fire to keep warm. Flames destroyed Jong's office and a room that was set to be a daycare.
And my first impression was kind of overwhelming. So I didn't know what to do. It's so big burden to me.
Overwhelm feels different today.
So many people come to know about our situation, and from then on, so many people started to give us the contribution. So I'm very thankful and grateful.
Jung's story touched Gal Jimenez.
January 2025, I actually found out about the church through the fire.
He says he saw the pastor on the news after the fire. Jimenez remembers Jung saying he trusted God to show him there was good in the tragedy.
When you look back at the fire and you look at that situation, you can only see misery. You can only see the destruction of a fire at a church. But then God sees this.
He's on Jung's team as the event's volunteer coordinator.
To be able to sell Korean things and for people to be smiling at the end of it and them not knowing, hey, there was a fire at this church. If they were to know that, everything would be much more crazier to them.
Smiling when it's hard isn't easy. The good news is, Jung's seen better days are ahead when you do.
January 26, 2025. Do you think that you would have been here doing this on May 31st, 2026?
No, not at all, not at all. I couldn't imagine at all. Yeah, at that time, I didn't know what to do. Yeah, but so thankful.
The church is still a bit in debt from costs related to the fire. Part of the money raised this weekend will help Jung with those. He still has not been able to open the daycare the fire originally impacted. Janelle Finch, 9 News.
All right, Janelle, thank you. A fire has destroyed a historic cabin near Aspen Mountain this weekend. It started yesterday morning and destroyed what's known as Grant's Cabin on the backside of Aspen Mountain. Aspen Fire Protection District said more than 30 emergency responders from several different agencies responded. The cabin was fully engulfed when they got there. The cause is still under investigation. According to Aspen Trail Finder, Grant's cabin was built back in 1988 by a man named Grant Timroth. Poudre's school district's plans to close schools will move forward. This was reported by our partners at the Coloradan. That school board voted just this week to approve new district policies that will guide a committee's work as it evaluates which schools to close over the next few months. The board says closures and consolidations are needed to address declining enrollment. Still no agreement on how many schools should close by the district's target timeline of the 2027-28 school year. A committee must now provide the Board of Ed with a recommendation on closures and consolidations by October, and that will be followed by a formal vote.